Welcome to the Roadside Realities channel. In this episode, we explore the dangers of overspeeding in residential areas. It's vital for road safety, and we're here to discuss it. Let's dive in. Losing balance on the road, the container crashed into the curb and overturned. The fire was quite large. Luckily, it didn't hurt anyone. The train cleared its own path when there was a vehicle in front. Just a little distraction can cause an accident immediately. The truck braked suddenly while turning, causing it to lose balance and overturn. The car lost its brakes and crashed into the curb, causing a horrific accident. The train crushed obstacles in its way. The plane landing caused a huge explosion, but no one was hurt. The container truck turned and lost balance, overturning immediately after. Both vehicles caught fire immediately after the horrific collision. If the car had better speed control, everything would have been fine. The driver seemed to have lost focus while driving. Just after overtaking, the car lost control and overturned a few minutes later. Losing control, the container truck crashed into the curb, resulting in severe damage. The collision seemed minor, but the consequences were immense. Was the driver deliberately accelerating, or did the car lose its brakes? Despite their efforts, both vehicles couldn't avoid each other. Drivers should learn from this about controlling their speed for safety. Stopping too close to the railway, the car still couldn't avoid the collision. The car lost its brakes, causing severe damage. It seems the driver lost composure, leading to the accident. The driver seemed to have lost focus for a few minutes on the road. The most important thing for drivers to focus on while driving is speed. Due to sudden braking, the car skidded and crashed into the curb. The car seemed to lose its brakes, continuing to move forward after the collision. Slippery road, sudden braking. The car directly hit the road barrier. The driver probably didn't realize what was happening. The car seemed to have suddenly lost control while driving. If the car can't control its speed, how dangerous could it be? Both vehicles dragged each other for a long distance. The collision caused the car to crash into a streetlight pole. After the collision, both cars crashed into the barrier, causing severe damage. All the cargo fell off the truck, affecting the oncoming car. A collision at the intersection due to vehicles not yielding and not observing. The car kept trying to run despite being chased intensely. This is why drivers must pay attention and drive slowly on the road. Trying to avoid the car crossing the road, the car caused its own accident. A collision with the front of the container truck. The car is in danger. Both sides should learn from this for the future. Despite trying to brake, the collision still occurred. This collision might not be due to brake failure. Pay attention to speed at intersections. The car suffered losses due to the container's speed. Very dangerous. The collision wasn't too big, but made the driver rethink. Not observing and not controlling speed caused consecutive collisions. Due to sudden braking, the car skidded and crashed into the barrier. Crossing the road without observing will have serious consequences. Speed-related collisions continuously occur at intersections. Even though the car tried to slow down, things still happened. Parts fell off the car. The driver might not know about this. The car engine had an issue, nearly causing a danger. A collision due to high speed in the tunnel. Never run a red light, drivers. Collision with an obstacle on the road. The car lost control and crashed into the barrier. The wheel came off, causing the container truck to endanger multiple vehicles behind it. Unable to brake, the car slowly fell into the abyss. Hope the driver is okay. The car didn't observe the road and faced the consequences when encountering the train. Why did the truck driver drive so dangerously? Trying to avoid the white car, the red car swerved onto the curb and faced danger. The car had an engine problem. Luckily, it didn't cause any accident. The road continuously sinking caused heavy damage to many cars. Trying to avoid the car in front, the container caused an accident with 2 other cars. 2 vehicles traveling in opposite directions, but too close, caused the accident. The car was immediately hit by the train because it blocked its way. The car had an issue on the road, endangering surrounding vehicles. Never run a red light, it's very dangerous. The car rushed from the other side of the road, causing the car on this side to be unable to avoid. The car caused severe damage to the house by pressing the wrong pedal. After the collision, the car lost control and caused an accident with another car. Both cars were going too fast and not observing the road. Any accident involving a train is always horrific. A rock slide caused an accident. Luckily, no one was injured. The car lost control and swerved into the road, causing a collision with 2 other cars. The accident was extremely serious. Fortunately, no one was injured. The car lost its brakes and crashed into a roadside utility pole. The truck caused an accident with 2 other cars while crossing the intersection. Moving too fast, the car overturned right after the collision. Going too fast, both cars caused a rather serious accident. Trucks should pay attention to the allowable height of bridges. The collision occurred due to running a red light at the intersection. Vehicles should move slowly to have better control of their speed. Perhaps the driver learned a lesson about speed on the road. The car lost control and swerved across the road. luckily not causing an accident. The car overturned and skidded a long distance on the road. Very dangerous. The container was pushed by the train because it blocked its way. The car sped up to run the red light but suffered significant damage. Drivers should pay attention to their speed for safety in the future. The police car seemed to have lost control, but the collision was quite minor. Despite their efforts, the truck still couldn't avoid the collision in front. The car couldn't brake in time, causing a very serious collision. The taxi lost its brakes and immediately caused a serious accident with the car next to it. The bus turned too closely, causing a collision. Both cars should learn from this about observing before crossing the road. Why did the car change lanes in such an unreasonable manner? Changing lanes too deeply caused the car to collide with the oncoming vehicle. Drivers should watch carefully to learn from this. Perhaps the driver pressed the accelerator by mistake when not in reverse gear. The car engine had a problem, but didn't endanger anyone. After the collision, the driver lost composure and hit the barrier. Pay attention. Always pay attention when driving. Why didn't the car see the vehicle in front? Not only when moving forward, but also pay attention when reversing. Despite trying to brake, it seemed ineffective. Crossing the intersection without slowing down, yielding, or observing. The pedestrian was extremely lucky. The car was going too fast, couldn't handle it, and lost control. When moving vehicles to different locations, ensure they are securely fastened. The collision wasn't severe, but the driver should learn from this. On narrow roads, drivers should move cautiously to avoid collisions. This accident will likely leave both drivers with lifelong lessons. Never run a red light. You never know what might be waiting for you. can you count how many vehicles were involved in the collisions? The truck's cargo shook violently before the whole vehicle tipped over. Natural disasters causing accidents are truly terrifying. After the collision, the car spun several times before hitting the guardrail. The car was hit from behind, leaving no time for the driver to react. Remember this video so drivers do not make the same mistakes. After the collision, it seems the truck driver pressed the gas pedal harder to escape. Driving too close to the guardrail, the car immediately collided and lost control. A collision due to moving too close, causing all the cargo to fall off. The car braked suddenly, causing the tires to skid on the road. Braking too hard on a curve, the tires skidded, causing a collision. A car overturned due to speeding and not paying attention. Although aware of the collision, the car continued to move forward. Despite efforts to avoid it, everything was still a bit too late. The car had engine trouble. It's unclear if the driver had time to stop. The collision resulted in significant damage to both vehicles. After the collision, the car immediately lost control and crashed into the guardrail. Changing lanes too closely, the container tried to avoid the car, causing its own accident. The car sped through the intersection, causing multiple collisions. Was it due to brake failure, or the driver not paying attention? The car was squeezed too close to the guardrail, causing significant damage. The container hit the guardrail under the bridge, but didn't affect other vehicles. The car owner should take note to observe carefully before making a turn. The truck lost balance and overturned on the curved road. Overtaking too closely, the car was pushed forward a considerable distance. The car should learn from this action and be more careful in the future. The consequence of not braking in time, causing a severe collision. Never overtake so closely, drivers. After the collision, the car lost control and was heavily damaged. Trying to go fast and overtaking too closely, the car overturned immediately. The car was moving too fast and knocked down a utility pole, causing significant damage. The consequence of both drivers not paying attention to what's behind them. The car was going too fast and couldn't brake in time, causing self-damage. After the collision, the car caused significant damage to an oncoming vehicle. It seems the truck couldn't stop. At night, drivers should move slowly to observe everything. The consequence of going too fast and not observing at the intersection. The car suddenly decided to turn, causing the following vehicle to crash. The car lost its brakes, crossing the road and immediately colliding with another vehicle. Traffic at intersections is a complex issue. The driver might have pressed the accelerator by mistake. The container driver should have secured the vehicle better. By driving too close to the guardrail, the vehicle collided and lost control. The car crossed the road too quickly, not paying attention, causing a collision. Another accident caused by stopping too close to the train tracks. Drivers, please, pay attention to the height of your vehicle compared to the bridge. How did the two cars collide head-on so terrifyingly? vehicle lost balance and then overturned. Moving too fast, the car couldn't brake in time when seeing the vehicle in front stop. Swerving too deeply, the car caused an accident. Perhaps the driver didn't pay attention to the obstacle ahead. The vehicle was heavily damaged after crashing off the road. Another accident due to running a red light. The vehicle turned without observing, leading to a collision. Drivers should maintain a steady speed when passing through intersections. The serious accident left the driver with profound lessons. At night, drivers must move slowly to observe other vehicles. Luckily, the driver was okay in this accident, and everything turned out fine. If both drivers had observed, perhaps things would have been better. A collision due to close distance. Drivers need to be more careful. The car unfortunately collided with a cliff, causing severe consequences. After the collision, the car immediately overturned. It was quite scary. The consequence of not being able to control one's speed. Perhaps the driver was distracted while moving. When moving through intersections, cars should slow down to observe. If the driver had been more careful, things would have been better. The car lost its brakes and sped uncontrollably on the road. After the collision, the car got stuck under a container. All accidents are just due to excessive speed. Drivers should pay attention before turning or crossing the road. Changing lanes without observing. The car put itself in danger. After the collision, the car seemed to have overturned. Do drivers actually observe the road when passing through intersections? The collision caused one car to overturn and the other to be heavily damaged. On the road, maintain a steady speed, neither too fast nor too slow. Another collision at an intersection. really dangerous. The truck's cargo was too high and hit the barrier. Drivers need to be more careful. Drivers should review their driving methods to be safer. After the collision, the car seemed to lose control and immediately overturned. The accident left both drivers with profound lessons. Drivers, remember to pay attention when passing through intersections. A case of an accident caused by sudden braking. The car tried to brake, but it wasn't very effective. The consequence of going too fast, causing a collision. The train's height was too great, causing an accident. The car was going too fast, unable to brake when seeing an obstacle ahead. This could be called the intersection of imbalance accidents. Try to control your speed, drivers. One car was going too fast, and another changed lanes too quickly. The consequence of not yielding at the intersection, causing a collision between two vehicles. The truck continuously lost wheels, making the situation increasingly dangerous. Trying to avoid the car in front, the car collided with an oncoming vehicle. The container overtook too closely, causing a collision with two nearby cars. It seems the driver pressed the gas pedal too hard. It seems the driver was observing, but the accident still happened. After the initial collision, it seems the car lost control and collided with a container. The car was going too fast and crashed into the front of the container. Standing in front of a container is always quite dangerous. Drivers should observe at intersections to avoid accidents. Due to moving too fast, the car lost control and crashed into a utility pole. If the driver had controlled the speed better, the incident would not have happened. Moving through intersections is a time when drivers need to focus entirely. This is truly a very serious accident. The entire train met with an accident due to an issue on the tracks. The container had an accident while trying to cross the train tracks. Perhaps the driver has learned a lesson for himself. The accident occurred, pinning the car in the middle, making it serious. The container lost balance, causing an accident and blocking the view of other vehicles. The container lost its brakes and crashed into the barrier. Fortunately, the driver was okay. The fire immediately erupted after the collision. Hopefully, the driver was not injured. The container dragged the rear trailer, causing a major collision. The explosion was quite large. Hopefully, the driver was okay. The road suddenly collapsed and shattered. Fortunately, no one was standing there. Turning too sharply, losing balance, the container overturned. Very dangerous. The car braked suddenly, skidded, and crashed into the row of parked motorcycles. Anything blocking the train tracks can become a victim of it. The most important thing is still to pay attention while moving. Container drivers should especially take note and learn from these cases. What kind of accident could a car with failed brakes cause? If the driver had paid more attention, things would have been better. The car had engine trouble. Everything was terrifying. After the collision, the car rushed off the road. This is also a lesson for both drivers. The car lost balance, climbed the hill, and then overturned immediately. The car had trouble, but did not cause an accident for other vehicles. The car lost balance and overturned due to the driver's lack of attention. The consequence of driving without observing. Colliding with the adjacent car, the car spun several times. Very dangerous. The car lost control and crashed into the guardrail. Hopefully, the driver is okay. Looking at how the car was hit shows that this collision was too strong. The car knocked down a utility pole, causing traffic congestion. Running a red light is never encouraged. Moving too fast, the car couldn't brake in time and collided with another vehicle. The car was going too fast and collided with two vehicles on the side of the road. This accident seems more severe than we imagine. Perhaps the white car lost control or brakes, causing the driver to move like that. This is why cars should go slow and be more careful on the road. The accident really left extremely serious consequences. Drivers must really pay attention to their speed to avoid serious accidents. I wonder how the owner would feel seeing this scene. Changing lanes too quickly, the car put itself in danger due to its own action. The car turned too quickly, causing the roadside vehicle to brake suddenly. The speed was too fast for the car to stop before hitting the obstacle. Cars coming out of the alley should move slowly to observe. A collision occurred, and the car lost control, moving uncontrollably. The consequence of not paying attention to the height of the cargo. A collision occurred because the rear trailer was too long, making the front unable to move it. Continuous collisions caused sparks on the car. Fortunately, everything was quite okay. The car braked suddenly, causing the wheels to skid in a collision. Just one car failing to brake led to a series of terrible collisions. A rear-end collision left the car with no time to react. Drivers should control their speed steadily to move as safely as possible. The car fell into the water due to the collision with another vehicle. The collision occurred because the car was moving too fast. Did the driver really have to move so hurriedly? This is the consequence of moving too fast and not observing the road. The car collided with the barrier due to being too close. The two cars collided because they were going too fast. The container truck hadn't cleared the tracks when the train came rushing in. Moving too fast, the car got into an accident at the intersection. The consequence of speeding through the intersection without yielding. The accident left quite serious consequences for both cars. When crossing an intersection, drivers should slow down and observe to avoid accidents. Why couldn't the driver maintain the distance between the two cars? The truck bed lost balance, causing the entire vehicle to overturn on the road. Maybe the driver pressed the accelerator too hard when crossing the road, leading to the collision. After losing balance, the truck immediately overturned on the road. The truck lost control, failed to brake in time, and knocked down a streetlight. A chain reaction accident occurred. Really dangerous. Drivers need to pay attention while driving to avoid accidents. Maybe the car lost its brakes, which is why it was moving so fast. It seems drivers still haven't learned their lesson at intersections. Controlling speed on the road is something drivers must always remember. The serious consequences of a truck losing its brakes. The bus lost its brakes and crashed repeatedly on the road. If the speed had been controlled well, things would have been different. Did the driver press the accelerator by mistake? Another accident at the intersection due to speeding. The car tried to brake suddenly to avoid a collision with the two cars in front. Moving inattentively, the car lost balance when the wheel slipped. The car behind tried to avoid it, but it seemed too late. This is why drivers must securely fix the cargo behind their vehicles. The car lost control and continuously hit the barriers on both sides of the road. The car was pushed by the water, and the driver could do nothing. It seems the car is trying to stop the car next to it. Not maintaining distance proactively, and the car's consequences. The car was going too fast and collided with the car in front. The car lost control and collided continuously in the tunnel. The two drivers should have seen each other. The container truck braked suddenly and skidded off the road. Keeping a steady hand on the wheel is the best way to ensure everyone's safety. The car was skidding as it tried to brake. Maybe after the collision, the driver panicked and pressed the accelerator by mistake. Even though it was a minor collision, the driver should still learn from it. The car changed lanes too abruptly without signaling, causing the car behind to be unable to avoid it. Drivers always need to pay attention when overtaking or changing lanes. Drivers should control their speed better when driving on the road. Instead of pressing the brake, the driver pressed the accelerator. Running the red light, the car got into an accident because of its actions. Both managed to brake in time, but both need to learn much more from the experience. The car was speeding and couldn't brake in time before hitting the obstacle. This was indeed a rare accident. Fortunately, no one was injured. The collision wasn't severe, but the driver needs to learn from it. Why didn't the driver observe more carefully? The consequence of reversing without observing. The car suddenly lost control and crashed into the car next to it. The two cars should have seen each other from a distance. Cars should move slowly and observe when coming out from inside. The car was hit from behind and couldn't handle the situation. The collision happened because both cars